This is the Action Movie Guys podcast, bringing you action movie reviews from across the decades, plus box office numbers and insight like never before. And now, your hosts of the Action Movie Guys podcast, Alex and Nate.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 266 of the Action Movie Guys podcast. I'm your host, Nate, and this is my co-host,
Alex Figueroa.
And on this episode, we're continuing with our Universal Classic Monsters in Action. I think it's something like that. I think that's what I said last time, and if it's not, that's what I said this time. And this week, we're going back to 2014 for a little movie called Dracula Untold. Now, Alex, I saw this movie in the theater in October. I'm pretty sure it came out in October. I remember because I went with a girl. 2014, I saw this at the theater, and I have not seen it since that night. Have you seen this movie before, and when?
I never saw it in the theater, but you are right. It came out October 10th.
You know when you go on a date with a nice girl, you remember that there was a nice girl there. I remember the date I went to see it. But yeah, that was the only time I saw it.
Okay. The last time I saw it was on, again, I got this on Blu-ray. This is I don't know what number it is, but this is my steelbook. Because I have a steelbook of this.
Oh.
Yeah, this is like when steelbooks, I guess, started to come out.
Yeah.
This was one of them that I grabbed. It was like him with bats, like turned into a bat or whatever it was.
Yeah. I don't have this on steelbook. I don't have this on physical at all. I, for some reason, have a digital. I went in my Vudu and I was like, let me see if I have it. And I did. So I don't know how it got there. I know I didn't buy it, but I do have it. So I watched it. You watched it. And now we're going to break it down for you. Now, before we do that, let me just give you some Rotten Tomato scores. These are, unlike our last review where they were close together, these are very far apart. So the critic score on this movie is a 25%. Pretty low, not great. The audience score, for some reason, it's not amazing, but it's way higher, 58%. So 33% higher. Anything stick out to you with those scores?
No, it was typical. Remember, we talked about this.
Yeah.
We talked about this like with the Mummy. I mean, these are better than the Mummy numbers.
Which is weird, to be honest with you. I don't want to do a spoiler for my review, but that's a little bit weird to me. But we're going to talk about it. So first things first, let's get to our lead character. He's played by Luke Evans, and he is, of course, Dracula, or Vlad the Impaler for most of this movie. Take it away. What did you think?
I liked him. I thought in terms of a villain, I mean, this was a different story, though. Like, this is not a typical Universal This story is totally different. This is him as a human turning into Dracula. Like, it's not him Dracula from the beginning. So they gave you a little bit of the human side. Now, this is a story that you got to let me know. Now, this is what they were going to start off the Dark Universe with?
Yeah.
Right?
This was supposed to be the original kickoff for this rebooted Universal, thing. Well,
let me just tell you, they should have kept it with this. Because honestly, I think this was actually a really strong... Okay, I like Dracula. I like the character. But the way they introduced this in a modern take of him, I liked it. I thought Luke Evans played him very well. I enjoyed it. I was engaged with the character. He wasn't boring. He wasn't like a worst actor ever. I thought he played him very well. He looked very handsome. Even my wife was like, wow, he has chiseled jaw. I was like, okay. Like, she thought he was attractive in the role. And I was like, okay, I liked him. He was a father figure. And then he needed to do something to serve his people. And he got bit by he drank the blood of a vampire and told him, you got 3 days. If not, you become human again. But you would drink the blood of someone, you become Dracula. So I was like, okay, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not your typical monster movie where he gets bit and then all of a sudden so I was like, it is what it is. But I liked him in the role. And I think from what you told me with the Rotten Tomato scores, kind of reflects on the box office. Because the budget was $70 million, worldwide $217. It made the money back, so it doubled the money.
So it made some money. It was not a bomb, per se.
No, but it did way better than the Mummy did to start off a franchise,
Yeah.
So
anyway, you notice at the end of the film is like modern times, and it was supposed to continue, the setting it up.
Which I kind of, we'll talk about that throughout. But anyway, I gave him a 4. I thought he was great as Dracula.
Okay, so I think I like Luke Evans, and I like him in the role. I think he's a good actor. I actually like him in a bunch of movies. I love him in Fast and Furious 6 as the villain. I liked him as Gaston in the Beauty and the Beast live action. And then in like all like smaller roles that he's been in other movies, I always like him. I think he's a good actor. Solid. I think he looks the part. I agree with you. As far as the Dracula they're going for, because in the book, like in the Dracula book, like he's horrific. He's not handsome. But they're going for the more good looking, handsome, romantic type Dracula. So it works.
Yeah.
The storyline's fine for him. I think, I think he was good. He was good. There's things I hate about him though. So one, I hate that I am a purist. So these movies are tough for me. I know you like the different takes. I tend to get annoyed with a lot of stuff with these movies, but one thing I hate in this movie is that he drinks the blood, right? He goes in that cave, he drinks the blood, and the man walks outside and he already knows, learns how to use all these powers right away. Right away. I mean, I know he only has 3 days, but still, he starts running and he just turns into bats and he can fly around and be bats. And he just knows how to control it. He knows how to execute it. And for that matter, so do all the other vampires in this movie when they get vampire powers. We'll save that for story. Anyway, I don't like that kind of stuff when they're just right away know, you don't even know what that guy in the cave is. He don't know what he is. He knows there's a creature. Then he gets bit and all of a sudden he knows he's like a master of all this stuff already. I kind of don't like that. Overall, I gave him a 3. I think he's fine. I don't think he's horrible. He's definitely better than the Dracula from Van Helsing. So
by 10.
That's the worst Dracula I ever saw in my life.
Yeah.
This is not that, but could have been cooler. I do like his dragon suit though. That's pretty sick.
His armor.
His outfit. Yeah, his armor. I think it's pretty sick. So 4 for you, 3 for me. All right, villain. Now this is his name is King Mehmet or something. Mehmet, I know that's his name.
Just call him Howard Stark.
Yeah, it's Dominic Cooper is the actor. What did you think of him?
I gave him a 3. He was okay. I mean, I thought, to be really honest, it should have been Dracula versus Charles Dance vampire. He
cooler.
suckers him and, he you told me that 3 days and he lied to him the whole time. And he was like, nah, you fell for it, you dummy. I would have been yeah, that's cool. But we got this guy. I thought he was pretty good. I mean, he wanted 1,000 kids. I would drink blood too if I had to save my townspeople, right? He wanted 1,000 kids and
1,000 boys.
Handsome.
I hate that he kept saying it. It was weird.
Yeah. For me, this movie lacked the villain. Knowing that this movie is the villain, becoming the legendary Dracula, but it was missing that type of villain. I mean, Charles Dance was the villain, but he wasn't there for much. He gave him the blood, and then at the end, you see him in the post-credit, whatever.
Following him around.
Yeah, following him around, going, no, this is where the fun begins. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I don't even know what that means.
I think he was going to start some shit. I was just oh, man. But anyway, I gave him a 3. I thought he was good.
Yeah, I gave him a 2. I don't like him. Because he's introduced, okay? He's introduced in this movie.
The Sultan.
The Sultan. And then right away, he's just this is one of those movies where they don't really give you any character stuff. They just tell you he's bad. This guy's bad. Why? They don't really explain it. He just is, right? His people show up to the castle and they're like, we need, and the guy's like, hey, I have your coins. And he gives the guy we also need 1,000 boys. For the army. Okay, then he goes to talk to him. He's like, we grew up together, we're buddies. And they're not. Right away, he's just like, man, whatever, I want my boys, and I don't want to take your son. But why? None of this is explained properly. There's no real reason why he wants to stick it to this guy so bad. There's no real reason why he needs to take his son specifically so he can raise him. And I just was so annoyed because those are the kind of things, if you can give that character some depth and some reasoning, you could be like, okay, this guy's evil and I hate him. And in this movie, I feel like this guy's bad, but I don't really hate him because I don't even know why he's really bad. He's just supposed to be bad because we're supposed to be rooting for Dracula. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just think he doesn't do enough. And then he pops up in the middle of the movie to lead the warriors, and which this part I hate. He's like, the men are scared. And all of a sudden he has blindfolded soldiers because he don't want them to look at him. I'm like, this is stupid. And then at the end, he fights him in the room with the silver coins, and that scene, I remember when I saw this at the theater, I was laughing, and I was laughing again. They zoom into Dracula's face, and the coins are falling. So he fights him. That's the only reason I didn't give him a 1. He does fight him at the end. He don't win, but I gave him a 2. I'm not a fan. And Dominic Cooper, he's another one, he's a cool actor. I don't dislike him, but I just don't like this character because he's just bad just for the sake of bad. You know what I mean?
But I think that's the reason why he took his son. Because he was just I could take him because I want to take him. There's no reason. He said it when his son was like, oh, do I have to go? And he goes, no. He goes, I did that to be the right-hand man of that guy's father. And he goes, I came back. So the purpose for Vlad the Impaler was that he was the right-hand man of that guy.
Right.
Now, this dude is just being a dick, and he's like, well, I could take him because I want to take him, and you can't say nothing because I have bigger army than you.
Exactly.
And that's when he was just like, oh, hell no.
You're right.
I'm going to go get bit by a vampire. But it doesn't make sense because you're right. It doesn't, they never
just
alluded.
is.
Yeah,
Right.
It was just, they never allude why. But you could tell like they were raping the boys because one of them kept massaging the kid in the, when they were eating in that room. And then that's when my man came mad quick and threw him against the wall and choked him out. He was just like, no.
That's what you said is exactly why I don't like it. Because he just does it just because. And I'm not a big fan of like just because villains. It's like, give me some motivation. Give me like, what are you thinking? Even a scene where like, I'm mad at Vlad because X, Y, and Z, so I'm gonna take his son. You don't get that. It's just because. So you're right. I agree with you, and that's why I hate it. Okay, action.
Oh, I like the action in this movie. I know, but I'm looking at it in a pair of modern take version of the film. Like, was it entertaining action? Hell yeah, it was mad I was really into the movie. Like him turning into bats and then him fighting all those dudes by himself. I was all up in it. I didn't care. I know, because I looked at some of the reviews and people were ripping that like it was him versus all these people and I was like, I didn't give a shit. That is one of the most badass scenes I think I've seen in our Universal Monster take of it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like he literally defended his entire castle by himself. And I was like, that is awesome. I was like, that to me, it was awesome. You saw that. I thought it was cool. You saw how strong Dracula was. And I thought that was pretty cool for me. Luke Evans as a human, you saw his demeanor to his people and his family. And I like that. You saw some of his things, but I don't know. I thought even the ending fight, I thought was pretty good. Now, I know the whole thing because I was like, damn, where the hell did he get all this silver coin from? I was just like, that's crazy. But anyway, I thought it was creative, but executed poorly. Because honestly, like even my wife said, I was like, damn, but all he had to do was teleport and stab him. He could have did that shit before he started the fight. So yeah. I kind of understand what you were talking about, but they wanted to show the vulnerability of him in the silver. And I was just like, it is what it is. But I thought it was executed poorly, but I thought it was a cool, creative way. Now, I think if Rob from the Patreon went into that room and saw coins, I think he would have died in the heartbeat.
He would have just exploded.
He would have died. He would have been like, coins!
His head just would have burst.
He would have been ripping bags and going under it
like Scrooge McDuck swimming in the coins.
He would have been swimming coins. No, anyway, joke aside. But I thought in terms of the fight, I don't think it was like overly produced, like over the top, taking this character to like new heights or whatever. I thought it was pretty well done. I thought they utilized Dracula perfect to me in this type of movie and scenario. So with that, I gave it a 4. I thought it was great. Not a 5. I thought it was a 4. I thought it was great.
Okay. Yeah, we far apart on this one. I gave it a 2.
I know you gonna.
I gave it a 2. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. I like that you referenced me in your
yeah. I know. Yeah.
Speech. I think it's ugly. I don't know what's going on. It looks horrible. Like the bats all flying around. I hate the part where he sends out the millions of bats and then makes a punch and then punches the bats into the floor. Give me a break. Bro, listen, I understand this is a movie and I understand this is fantasy. This is not real. But you're telling me all these bats, just bats flying through people, it's going to cause these shock waves of power like a freaking bomb dropped on their head. No, I hate it. I think the CGI in a lot of spots is not that good looking. And so it makes up. I do like the scene you were talking about, the first one. I like where he first gets the vampire powers and fights all the guys by himself. I thought that scene was pretty cool. I don't love the whole bat flying around thing, but that it's executed better than the end one. You got the end where this guy comes with his army of like thousands of soldiers and my man fights them from up on a hill, just doing this, moving bats around, and I hate it. I really don't like it. I also think, like I said, I think a lot of it's ugly. I think the CGI is not great. There's one part in this movie, I forgot how cheap some of this movie looked. There's one part where the dude rolls up, our man Howard Stark rolls up on his horse, and he sees all the stakes from where he left, and it has like this fog, and it looks terrible. It looks like a green screen. Horrible. It's not quite action related, but it's right after that fight. So, I mean, it kind of is. So yeah, it's a 2 for me. I'm not a fan of this action. I could see why you like it, but it didn't work for me on the same level. Storyline.
All right, this is where I draw a little back. I gave it a 3. I thought it was a good storyline. I thought it was a very good storyline to start a franchise in terms of Dracula. Like, I thought it was pretty cool. You got to see him and his kids. Him and his son. They took him away, his son. You saw him with the wife. She died in his hands. She was like, bite me because you need the powers. And I was like, all right, whatever. It was cool. I was like, it is what it is. Because I was like, hell is coming for these dudes. And I loved it. Anytime that I get amped, I'm like, I like it. Because I was like, you know what? These bastards took away his kid. Like, they were trying to take, I was like, you know what? Like, I was like, bite her, bro.
They killed
I was
his
like,
wife.
yeah. I said, you know what? Bite her and let's bring the thunder. And that's what he did. And I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. Lackluster in terms of villain. I still believe in my heart it should have been Charles Dance as the main dude in this one. But they gave us what they gave us. I thought it was a very good, solid film in terms of introducing this character into a modern take. I don't know what other way you could do this in a way that you could tell it. Maybe there is. Maybe there is one down the line. But for me, I kind of enjoyed this one for what it was. And I gave it a 3.
Okay, I gave it a 2. I don't like it. I think you're right. The villain sucks. The villain's just his storyline is horrible. And I agree with you. Why not make that vampire? Charles Dance was way better in his 5 minutes of screen time than this other villain was in his 10 minutes. He's not even on screen that much either, but his 10 minutes of screen time. Here's my problem. I do not like when they make evil monster characters into the good guys. I just don't. I don't like it. I want my Dracula to be bad. I don't want him to be a superhero. He's a superhero in this movie. He gets powers and he fights bad guys with it. He doesn't want to eat people, but he will this one time bite his wife, which I'm going to save that for overall something about that. But yeah, I don't like it. I'm not crazy with like making bad guys good guys. I like when they're bad guys. I'm cool with origin stories. When I went to see this movie, that's what I thought it was going to be. Because it's called Dracula Untold. Like, oh, they're going to do some cool, Vlad the Impaler becoming Dracula. And then I'm thinking while I'm watching, okay, he's going to fight this army. And at the end, he's going to be so like mad that now he's a bad guy. But nope, it flashed forward to modern times and he's out here walking around London, flirting with chicks. And he's not bad. He's a good man. And I'm just not a fan of turning great monster characters into good men. I think it works for Frankenstein's monster because he was forced to be alive. But like a mummy, a Dracula, a werewolf, I don't want him to be good. I don't. I want him to be bad.
I think that was what they were going with Charles Dance. Because that's when he said, this is where the fun begins. I think he could control Dracula. And I think that's if there was leading into that universal whatever, I think that's where it was going to go. I think it was like, okay, we're going to give you the origin. Mm-hmm. He was an anti-hero. I don't think he was a hero. To me, he was more of an anti-hero because he was just there for his wife.
What did he do really bad, though? Nothing.
Well, he only did it for his wife and kid. That's it. Like,
right.
But I mean, there was no other characters for him to turn bad. It was the army that was trying to take his kid. And that's all he cared about. That's it. So like they never introduced us other characters that he could have been a douche to. Like that's the problem with this movie. It never gave us a world of this guy. They just, like you said, they painted him as a good guy. Okay. Yep. But if you look at it through the storyline is pretty much him sacrificing himself as Dracula for his kid so they don't get killed and he doesn't become a slave to this dude. So I don't fault him in that regard. Whereas the Mummy, that should have been bad from the get-go. Like that was totally different.
They turned Tom Cruise into a superhero in that one. Yeah, he got mummy powers. He was going to be good,
right? Like, and he took the knife of the devil or whatever the hell he stabbed himself with. So like, it didn't even make this like the that didn't make sense. Yeah, like it was just some weird shit he stabbed himself with. So I mean, I don't know. I believe they were going down that he was going to turn bad once Charles Dance said that one line. Yeah. But I mean,
maybe, but we didn't get to see it.
We didn't get to see the sequel.
So I gave it a 2.
No,
you gave it a 3.
I kind of understand where you're going.
1 point off. We ain't too far. Okay, what is your overall for this one?
I like this movie. I'm gonna back it up. Mm-hmm. I know where you're gonna go, but I like this movie. I'm gonna say I like this movie a lot. It to me has been a while, and I was really entertained from beginning to end. Mm-hmm. There was no dull spots. To be really honest, for me, I was not bored. I was really glued into the story. I liked the fighting. I like him turning into bats. And you know what? It reminded me of like, because you play a lot of not as much video games, but you play video games. When he teleports into bats, it reminded me of the video games when it goes to one end to the other. So I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, okay, he turned into bats and whatnot. So for me, I enjoyed it for what it was. So I liked it. I wish we got a sequel. I know you didn't, but I think they had something there, to be really honest with you. I think the sequel would have been better in the modern world take with Dracula in them. But for some reason, me and you could attest to this.
Yeah.
They never do good with Dracula in the modern take.
No.
In the modern world. So I really wanted to see what they could do in that situation. But I thought, in terms of an origin, I thought this could go either way for anybody. It could go good or it could go Nate's way down the river. So, and that's why I kind of agree with the Rotten Tomato. I'm more with the 50% audience, where you're with the 25% critics on this one. So with that said, I gave it a 3. What did you give it?
Yeah, you're with the 58% that liked it. I'm with the 42% that didn't. I did not like it. And I didn't like this movie when it first came out 9 years ago, when I was in my 20s. And I was like, this movie sucks. Good thing I was with a girl, because I was like, this movie sucks. On the plus side, it's short. It's 90 minutes. Bang. It's not too long, which is good. Luke Evans was a good casting. I liked him in the role. There's some pluses, but there's one scene that sums up. First of all, I think this movie has horrible editing. I know we don't always touch on like super technical stuff, but I think the editing in this movie is absolutely horrible. And there's a prime example at the end, which sums up my feelings about the whole entire movie. At the end of the film, and you can go back and watch this scene if you want, and you will see that I'm right. There's a scene where Dracula flies down and he's gonna fight the bad guy, and he realizes it was a trap, and they go up and they grab his son. Okay. And his wife's gonna fall off the edge of a cliff.
Yeah, because they pushed her. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So she's hanging on the cliff. He flies up. No more than 2 seconds, 3 seconds. They show a guard grabbing the son, and the son's like, like that. He flies up and then knocks the guard off the cliff. He falls and dies. Right. The other guard took the son. The wife then falls off the cliff. He jumps down to like try and catch her. She falls a good, 600 feet, maybe 700 feet. It's high. She hits the ground and she doesn't die. Not only does she not die, she lives long enough to wake up and tell him to bite me. I'm gonna die anyway. She should have been dead from the fall off the freaking mountain, but no, she's alive. Bite me. And when he lands on the ground, his son is sitting on the back of the horse with the bad guy. Now, how in the hell did the guard run down however many mountains of thousands of steps, run through a field, put that kid on the horse just as fast as these two fell off of this cliff? And it's editing like that where this kid shouldn't be there at that time. And there's a scene earlier where it's similar. Like, this shot and the shot before it didn't match up. I think it's lazy, some of the filmmaking. I think it's a bad movie. I gave it a 1. A 1. And I didn't even give anything else a 1, but I give it as a whole, a 1. And you know what? This was directed by Gary Shore. And you know what movie he directed after this? None. He's not directed a movie since this, because he's not good, in my opinion. So maybe he got something down the line. I don't know, but it's been 9 years. So you liked it more than I did.
Well, there was one part that I questioned, and I was like, no one even thought about, like, for instance, for instance, like, me and my wife looked at each other. I was like, okay, wait, you could do this and you didn't do this now. So, for instance, when I thought this was creative, when he saved his son, and then they all turned, they wanted to eat the son. And I was like, okay. In a situation where Dracula's Dracula, I was like, he did part, because my wife was like, wait, how is theirs stronger than Dracula? I was like, because there's a difference. I was like, he didn't bite them. I was like, if he bite them, he doesn't give them as much power. I was like, he pretty much shared his gift. Yeah, he pretty much shared his gift with everybody. So I was like, they're equal now. And she went, oh. But I was like, well, the problem is that the minute the son went away with the priest, right, which was horribly done, because he's literally talking, right, like this way. He's talking to Dracula while there's like 8 dudes behind him, which they could have grabbed him in 2 seconds and bit him. But I was like, it is what it is. They grab the son. He takes him away. All of a sudden, he does this, and the sky turns to sun and they all die. And I went, wait a minute, why didn't you do that the first time? And then talk to your son while you're turning into bacon, going, I want you to live a long life, blah, 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 blah. I was like, dude, you really could do this shit? I was like, I know you could manipulate weather, but I'm like,
not like that. No, listen, I forgot about this. These guys can just make clouds go in front of the sun. So what good is it if sun kills you, if you could just go and cover it with these dark black clouds?
Only Dracula could.
He shouldn't be able to, because defeats the whole purpose of one of his weaknesses. He could just blot out the sun, and now I can't die. I hate it. I hate that decision.
Yeah. So in that part, it did. I was just like, why? Like, you could have just did this in the minute.
I think if you go back and watch this in 2 weeks and look at it like that, you're gonna see a bunch of stuff. Like,
no, I bet I could, but I did enjoy it though.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I did like it. I'm just saying, certain things like that just irked me because I was like, we all know the lore because we watched all the old stuff, and it's just this is the way you're gonna utilize this dude's powers. Like, okay, it is what it is. But anyway,
I guess he's just magic, full magic now. So anyway, okay, so I gave it a 1. I hate it. You gave it a 3. I will never watch this movie again. I can promise you right now. That's why you got the digital code. I don't know why I have that, and I can't delete it. I would delete it if there was a way. If there was a way to go into Voodoo and delete codes, I would take this off. I don't even want it in there, but it's in there. So what is your total points?
17.
17? Okay, I have a 10. So
it's not as bad.
That's higher than I thought. I thought it was gonna be like a 6, but I was like, you know what? This guy Luke Evans is pretty good. Yeah, I mean 10, but I hate it. Okay, so you gave it a 17. I gave it a 10. Anyway, moving on now. Next week, this one. Listen, you don't know how excited I am for one of these movies next week. So next week we're continuing on with Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. But the one I'm excited for is a little movie called I, Frankenstein. Now I know that one time where you said I didn't see it. And I don't remember this movie at all, but I know I've seen it. I don't know where it is. You may have to rent it. I don't know if it's streaming.
It's on Netflix.
Oh, look, it's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. It's on Netflix.
So you know it's not good if it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Anyway, Aaron Eckhart.
Wait, that makes no sense. Yeah, that makes Terminator 2's on Netflix. So
that's an accident. That's a mistake. They accidentally have that. This got Aaron Eckhart in it, and it also has our boy Bill Nighy from Underworld, Victor. I know he's in it, and from what I remember, I'm not gonna look it up, but I think Aaron Eckhart is Frankenstein's monster, and he fights bad guys or something like that.
What?
That's my guess. Mob? Like bad guys. Yeah.
No.
I don't know if they're the mob or what, but he walks around with a hood, and he's like, "I'm Frankenstein," something like that. So this could be either a masterpiece or one of the worst movies we've ever seen on this show. So I'm very excited for that. That's what we got coming next week.
Does he use an iPhone?
No, he uses punches. I don't think he uses
does he use an iPhone? And
I don't even know if he wears shoes in this movie. I don't even. I think he just wears sweatpants and a hood or something like that. I don't know.
Gee,
yeah,
so
that hot chick from Chuck is in it. So
she's hot.
She's in it. I just remember who's in it. I don't remember what happens. It might be like Underworld where it's all blue, so that might be annoying. We'll see. We're gonna see next week.
I remember seeing the trailer on Netflix when I passed by. It was colored.
So it's colored? Okay.
Yeah. So you're good on that.
Good, because that junk hurts my eyes.
Yeah, but he does wear a navy blue sweater. He does.
And sweatpants. I think he got sweatpants.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
Lord.
His face is all like
he's all Frankenstein-y, right? He's all stitched
Frankenstein.
up. Yeah. So I think maybe he was made. Here's my guess. He was made in the 1600s or whatever, and he just never died. He just kept living forever, and he fights evil.
I thought he was made in the Bronx somewhere, in the.
I think it's set in. It might be in New York.
It has to be set in New York if he's I Frankenstein.
It's not Manhattan Frankenstein. So yeah, that's what we got coming next week. I literally can't wait. I'm actually very excited to watch this.
Oh well, can't wait. Let's see what happens.
It's either going to be a 5 or a 25. That's it.
All right, there you have it. All right, guys, you guys want to follow us on our social media accounts, please follow Nate over Instagram at Netflix Reviews. Check out the podcast with him and his friends called Netflix Movie Reviews. Anything Action Movie Guys, head over to Instagram at Action Movie Guys Podcast, or head over to our official website, www.geeksandflix.com. We have all the podcasts there, all 265 episodes. of the podcast. Other than that, he is your host,
Nate from Netflix Reviews.
I'm his co-host, Alex Figueroa. Be awesome to each other and geek out.